So, I originally was debating whether to make a video today because I like to talk about current events. Sometimes I don't know what are the really leading topics out there. So I started looking on Google Trends and then on YouTube itself for trends. And I found a couple of interesting topics. Before we get started in that, remember that the Cardio Vlogs does daily trivia challenges with Amazon gift card giveaways. The Amazon gift card giveaway works like this. 3 simple rules. Number 1, to participate in this, you must be a subscriber. Number 2, you must like the video. And number 3, you must leave the answer to the trivia challenge in the comments section below as one comment. We'll get to the question in a minute. But today, what we're going to talk about is political correctness. Interesting. There's some changes that apparently have started to occur with YouTube more and more over time. And I guess political correctness is not the main aspect, it's more censorship. So we live in a time now in which people use the phrase offends me or I'm offended about many things, for which in the past we would say, well, put your big kid pants on and move on. That is not the place we live anymore, especially not in America where freedom of speech is supposed to be protected. So, and I guess you could even relate this to freedom of speech, the First Amendment. So look, now racial jokes for certain groups are considered offensive. Not against others, but for some, it's offensive. Having bobbleheads is one example that I saw a little while ago. A bobblehead of a Hawaiian girl was offensive to a woman riding in a Lyft car, ride service called Lyft. We're living in a place now where you cannot, if you offend someone, you are considered, or if you say something that someone else interprets as offensive, you are demonized by it. But you're being very offensive to me. Well, walk away from the person and leave it alone. And if your skin is that tough, if your skin is that weak and soft, and you can't handle it, dear God, how long before you can sue people for breaking up with you because it offended you? This is an example of the deterioration of freedom of speech and society. When people throw little tantrums because they don't like it when you hurt their feelings. Well, I'm sorry. I don't give a damn if I hurt your feelings. Because what hurts your feelings is such a minor pebble in the ocean of rocks of things that should offend you, like murder, and even you can't even write. Some of these YouTubers who've been on YouTube for years are talking about now. Some of their videos are being demonetized, meaning they're not making as much money because they have content or tags that are not deemed advertiser friendly. Even if they're advocating against a crime and they're talking about things like how rape is bad or murder or kidnapping, those are deemed as not advertiser friendly. And so even though the advertisers may still be on their videos, YouTube says that they're not going to make as much money because of that. Are we sure it's that? Especially when they have hundreds of thousands or millions of views? Or is it because YouTube is using that as an excuse to keep more of the money for themselves? Because it's making more money. Look, YouTube is a great thing. But when you start censoring people, the value dissipates over time. YouTube may not be anywhere near as successful as other sites emerge, if they emerge, to combat that combat that kind of censorship and abuse of political correctness. This is why Donald Trump is successful, because he doesn't play that game. This is why, if you are a fan of freedom of speech, you better hope Donald Trump gets it. Because Gary Johnson, the libertarian candidate, was on Fox News a couple of days ago and did not like the term illegal immigration or illegal immigrants because he said it was incendiary, meaning degrading and insulting. But if you come to a country, you migrate to a country without following the laws of the land that you're going to, it's illegal. It's against the law, thus illegal. So here's today's trivia question. Which of the two following individuals was President Jefferson Davis, Ulysses S. Grant? So Jefferson Davis or Ulysses S. Grant. Which of them was president? I worry about us as a society. This is why now in colleges they have something called safe places, because people don't like to be offended by. So at some point, do you know what happens when it gets to a point where they say too many people are offended by certain language, so we're going to outlaw it? When the government steps in and takes that kind of control of your life and tells you what words you can and cannot say, we're back in the days before America was founded. I was watching a video where these two guys were talking about how the first Americans were here thousands of years ago. Well, that's ignorant, because America is not a continent. America is an idea. America was established as a country not thousands of years ago. But just, 240 years ago? That's when it was established as a country. In 1776, just over 240 years ago. I hate to break it to you, America was not here 1,000 years ago. They were not original Americans. They were settlers, but there's a difference between settlers and Americans. But when you let government have control over that, see, this is what concerns me about many people. You believe that the government's protecting you, or that these universities that create safe places are protecting you. You think, oh, well, they really care about us. That's why they're giving us safe places. No. What they are proving by doing this is that you are weak and that they can easily control you. Because if you're easily offended and they have to give you a safe place, then guess what? That means eventually they could tell you what to do because you're easily affected. That's not helping your cause. In the end, they know that you're the ones that are the most manipulatable. Easily manipulated is probably a better choice of words. Manipulatable is a word. But when you lose freedom, the freedom of speech, it's a slippery slope. The more and more words that become offensive, the easier it is to lose other freedoms. Because words are the simplest thing to lose. Actually, they're the hardest thing to lose. Excuse me. Because you can take away guns, you can take away knives, cars, control of your healthcare, control of your electricity. All those kinds of things are the point where a consolidated group controls them. But when they ultimately take away your ability to talk back and to voice your disagreement or your lack of appreciation, that's the thing that happens in communist countries. You realize you can't say bad things about government in other countries. You can face penalties for that. And that's the slope we're on. It's very scary. And we should be very concerned about that as a country. See, people like Hillary Clinton don't really worry about you in the long term. Her family's established. And what happens in royalty situations is it doesn't work where a commoner, in many, many cases, becomes royalty. It's, in fact, so rare it's nearly non-existent, unless there's revolutions. But royalty is a descending form of government because it starts with them, they hand it down to their children, and on and on. And that's the same thing that happens, that's starting to happen in this government. I promise, without very little doubt, that Hillary Clinton will be the beginning of martial law if she is the president. And with that becomes a place where if they tell you we're doing it for the benefit of the people, then what you're going to ultimately find is we believe we're doing it for the best interest of the people, and we will select the people or the leaders for you who show themselves in their communities to be positive and have the interest of the people at heart. But that's not how it's going to work. It will be Hillary Clinton's daughter, her son-in-law, who's a hedge fund guy, by the way, if you don't know that. Their children, the children of the people who are in Congress at that time, who are judges, those will be your leaders. And it will become a process of ascension or dissension, slowly down the line, within their families. And the only way that changes is the same thing that caused America to be born as a country under an idea, or an idea into a country. And it's a revolution. And that's why you see massive increase in gun ownership since Obama's been president. And we're talking 400 and 500 times percent increase, because people are afraid that that's where it's going. And the more you let government have controls over elections, local and federal, the easier it is to manipulate the outcome. Create the outcome you want that follows your directive. Because if they were afraid that elections had the ability to be hacked, they would go back to paper-only elections, because you can't hack the paper. However, it's very easy to control electronics. See, they want you to worry about hackers. I would worry more about them. The answer is both. Davis was the president of the Confederacy, a short-lived, but they were considered their own country for a very brief period of time. So technically he was the president, and Ulysses S. Grant followed Andrew Johnson as the president of the United States after the close of the Civil War. And after Johnson left the White House, Andrew Johnson became president after Lincoln was assassinated. So worry about these things. Think about what will happen. Think about the people who tell you they don't like what you say, or the language you use. Because I promise you, rappers, people who are into rap and who already use language that's considered foul, four-letter words, as they call them, or any words that are negative of another culture, it's just a matter of time before they come for you. It's not even a joke. It is. You think you're safe now, but you're working on a time frame until you no longer become beneficial to the story that they want to go forward. And when that happens, that's when changes occur, and you'll start to be censored more. I don't remember who it was who said that the way our country is designed and the way our country is created, that we should expect revolution within 100 to 150 years. Revolution occurs when you ultimately can no longer tolerate the oppression of a government. And censorship is oppression. Taking your weapons, taking your liberties, telling people what they can and cannot do. It's oppression. Not letting them have a choice just like the Obamacare. Obamacare was increased taxes on people. And anything that increases taxes is supposed to go through Congress. But it went through the court system because people filed lawsuits in the federal court system against it. And judges on the Supreme Court, in a decision of 5-4, went for Obamacare. Even though technically that's unlawful, they are given that kind of power. Here's something interesting to keep in mind. I want you to think about the kind of things that have been censored in the last 8 years. How vilified people of certain cultures have been, or of certain styles have been. And I want you to remember this, the way it was 8 years ago, when 3 of the 13 federal appellate courts as they call them too, 3 of the 13 were liberal dominant. Now it's 9 of 13. You see, socialism truly is a very smart approach, because you convince people that you have their best interests at heart. Get them to follow an ideology, teach it to them in school, and eventually you keep them on your side until A, they're no longer useful, or B, you can put them in places of power where they can carry out your goal. But once you become a, what's the word I'm looking for? Liability. Here's what happened to Donald Trump. He was a supporter of Hillary Clinton's in the past. Friends, she called him a friend. Mitt Romney called him a friend. Jesse Jackson called him a good man. These are the same people who now say he's racist. And it's because he's going against their plan and their goal for the country. And it's not just him. If someone with that much success can be abused and called one thing, then what do you think happens to the rest of this common citizens? Think about it. All right. While we still have the beauty and privilege of freedom, go out, enjoy the sunshine, make new friends, find love, and have a wonderful day. Yes, thank you. I heard you. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to follow the rules of the trivia competition, and leave your answer below. And I will see you soon. Be well.